So we finally got our hands on exotic class items. And oh my, you just thought your builds were nasty. Fellas, these things. Now, if you've not done the exotic mission, we have an entire guide on it. And I know I have a lot of people upset because let's just say it's not very solo friendly. With that being said though, we have a Discord with a number of great players that play Destiny who you can hop into and team up with. And we're also going to be doing runs with viewers over on our Twitch. All that I ask is that you watch the guide and you have just kind of a brief understanding of how the encounters work so that if you do team up with us over on Twitch, you're good to go. With that being said though, after the release of these exotic class items, there was a combination that we wanted to try out immediately. So huge thanks to Entropy from our Discord as they allowed us to play with this role right here. This is speculated to be literally the best role for the exotic class item on Hunters, and that is the combination on Relativism of Spirit of the Caliban and Spirit of the Liar. Now for those that are not familiar, exotic class items are doing what you see here in front of you. They're combining two aspects of an exotic together, and this exotic combo is the combo for clearing a room in one melee. Today we're going to be looking at this combination and testing out to find out what works best, what doesn't work, and why all my hunters need to farm for this. So starting out with each of our exotic perks, we have Spirit of Caliban. This perk reads that power melee final blows trigger an ignition. Then our other perk, Spirit of the Liar, which says dealing damage with a powered melee or being hit by a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful arc melee counterpunch. Now these perks are of course not the full thing from the original exotics. We definitely got the best pieces of each. Again, it's normally the main aspect of the exotic that Bungie attaches to the spirit. For Caliban, we're missing out on our melee damage causing Scorch, as well as upping our melee regeneration, and for Liars, we're missing out on the heal whenever we counterpunch. But what's left over on the exotic class item is really more than we could ever ask for. If we take an analysis of how these perform, starting with the Spirit of Caliban, we know it causes ignitions. So let's look at how this may uniquely synergize with our Prismatic Hunter melee abilities. The first thing to note here at Carl is that the ignitions are indeed caused by any kills from any melees. The normal melees like Shurikens, Threaded Needle, Knife Trick, all of these easily proc the ignition. Even Smoke Bomb, they will cause an ignition and can actually make that ignition do more damage if it manages to weaken whatever's near the explosion. As for some more unique cases, we have our Grapple Grenade and Combination Blow. Grapple, despite not technically being a melee, is still counted as a melee ability. So yes, you can cause ignitions with that. Now for Combination Blow, this ability far exceeds the ease of use of any other. As most of us know, Combination Blow gives us a melee damage buff on kills and will stack up to 3 times. While you have any stacks of Combination Blow, all melees, both charged or uncharged, will cause ignitions. This means to get the ball rolling, you just need one melee kill and then you're good. But another thing to note is with all of our melee abilities is that the damage will stay the same. That 36,210 you've been seeing will not change source to source, even if you have multiple stacks of Combination Blow. But out of every ability, while you can't increase ignition damage, Combination Blow exponentially increases the amount of ignitions. And this actually takes us into Spirit of the Liar, as this perk also works best with Combination Blow melee. Again, the Spirit version states dealing damage with a powered melee or being hit by a melee attack will allow you to follow up with an extremely powerful arc melee counterpunch. Now you can in fact activate this punch with every ability. You can throw your knives and then follow up with a punch. You can use your grapple melee and immediately follow that up. The thing is, those melee abilities get consumed when you use them. Combination Blow doesn't get used until you get a kill. This allows you to spam that ability, getting the counterpunch every other hit until your target dies. Of course, you can also receive a melee attack to unleash a counterpunch whenever. Now the main reason we want Spirit of the Liar is for the damage stacking and lethality. That counterpunch does a flat 200% damage. You can see here, as their damage goes from 8,685 to 26,055 against Carl. It's pretty solid, guys. But as we all know from previous builds, by pairing it with Combination Blow, we can reach some crazy heights. Each stack of Combination Blow grants us more damage. These are 60% at times 1, 156% at times 2, and a whopping 309% at times 3. You see the stacking here, with our counterpunch going all the way up to 106,722 damage. Guys, that is a total of 1,128% 12% damage over our base melee. When was the last time you saw something get increased by 1,000%? Probably the last time you used base Liar's Handshake. But this is why this is even better, because you got explosions. This takes me to the synergy that exists between these two exotic perks. Unfortunately, there's no scaling with ignitions through Combination Blow or Spirit of the Liar. All ignitions stay the same. The true synergy lies in Combination Blow and Liar's Handshake being the premier way to activate ignitions off of every melee. Liar's allows you to kill extremely beefy targets, and Caliban's allows you to clear entire rooms of ads with just one kill. Combination Blow keeps both of these perks active at all times, and of course, refunds your dodge while healing you. Again, these two perks may not interact directly, but the playstyle that emerges when using both is incredible, and this isn't even factoring in our Prismatic subclass. Now, we've gone over the numbers and how the exotic perk enhances us, but what can we do elsewhere to optimize this combination into perfection and ultimately get that 2,076% increase to our damage? Well, this all starts in our subclass menu. We already know that Combination Blow is necessary for the most uptime on this combination, but what truly elevates us further is our aspects. I settled on using Stylus Executioner and Winter Shroud. Now, this is a self-perpetuating combination of invisibility and stasis slow. But when we add in Combination Blow, you've got Weaken and Freeze on demand. Weaken comes from Stylus Executioner as any melee attacks while invisible apply it, and then Freeze and Slow comes from Winter Shroud, which we'll have a maximum uptime on as Combination Blow refunds our dodge on kills. Now, you can see in the gameplay how this all comes together, but where we go even further into our melee nuking is with a couple of fragments, namely Facet of Courage and Facet of Ruin. Facet of Courage will be directly increasing our melee's damage as it reads. Your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. Now, this is a 5% damage, and since our dodge applies slow stacks, that's essentially a permanent buff. Then after this, we have Facet of Ruin, which reads increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target and increases the area of effect of solar ignitions. Now, this works in two areas. The most common is on every single melee kill. Our melees are hitting targets from miles away. The visual effects don't even come close to the enemies it's killing, and they take full damage. This fragment should not be overlooked as it greatly helps with the fantasy of clearing a room in one punch. But it also helps whenever we shatter a frozen enemy, which, like I've already said many times, Winter Shroud will be constantly applying slow stacks and freezing enemies, leaving you plenty of opportunities to benefit from Facet of Ruin there. So taking an overview of what our subclass offers to Caliban's and Liar's combo, we've got Weaken on every melee, Slow and Freeze on every dodge, bigger ignitions and shatters, and a high constant damage increase to dark debuffed enemies. I think you can see how this build destroys rooms with ease, but there's one last piece to add that guarantees that 2,076% increase whenever we need it. That is, of course, a 1-2 punch shotgun. The full stacking is as follows, and remember, this requires almost no setup. This should all pretty much be active at all times. We get Spirit of the Liars for 200% damage, Combination Blow times 3 for 309% increase in damage, 1-2 punch for that 80% damage. This, of course, has diminishing returns when paired with Spirit of the Liar, Facet of Courage for that 5% damage, and then Weaken from Stylus Executioner for that 15% damage. That totals in our base melee. It hits for 8,685 damage to skyrocket to a whopping 189,004 damage, which is a 2,076% increase in damage. Fellas, it pains me to say it, but hunters literally have nukes in their fists. And that's just one piece of this prismatic kit. With every superpower melee, there's a nuke going off. You could see in the footage in the background, but we took this into dual destiny, and this class item crushed all the ad clear rooms with ease. 200 hus spawn at once, 1 melee, and you're good. Fellas, this is a combination that I absolutely want on my own account. I cannot wait to get it. Big shout out to Entropy for allowing me to give this a go. If you're a hunter and you're hunting for god rolls on these exotic class items, this is one you gotta have. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.